Hello and welcome everyone. This is my first video I'm going to do, and it's just going to be a quick tutorial on bee breeding. Got some austere, frugal, and modest guys over here, and I'm trying to get this pigman to go over in that direction so he gets attacked by them. If I actually punch the pigman, they're all going to come after me the next time I go into the nether, which I do pretty frequently, so instead I'll just let the bees kill him. Okay. Now I can sleep. You can only sleep at night, by the way. So over here, just a quick demonstration of how I do things is I have my archetypes. So these are purebred frugal queens. They will only produce the same thing, and the convenient thing for that, and the reason I do this, is so they stack. Now, of course, I'm currently working on trying to make them faster, which this guy will hopefully do, his offspring, and this guy will probably do as well. So eventually I'm going to replace all of these, because right now, even though you can't see it, if I were to use the Beealyzer on these guys, they have normal working rate and a longer lifespan. So hopefully I can move that up to a fast and a longer lifespan, but not that it makes much difference at this point, because, and especially for the modest guys, I don't even worry about them anymore. They're fast workers, but short lifespan. So obviously the best being fastest, which I don't think is achievable in forestry bees, and the best lifespan being longest, but the longer they're in there, generally speaking, faster is better than longer lifespan. But the longer they're in there, the more they can produce as well. So, kind of common sense, but I figure I might as well explain that. Also, over here, I have my modest archetypes, which basically, they're just giving me a bunch of drones. Now, what I do is I use those. Stacking drones make it really easy. Don't even mind what's in that chest over there. I have a couple of guys over here that have been using different hives in the different biomes. I found a nice little section here where I've put up my place. So I have marshes, jungles, deserts, and my regular house is that way, and it's basically a general normal temperature, normal humidity over there, so I can convert all these things with additional drones. So this guy here started as just a tropical noble hybrid, I think, and we're just going to keep combining frugal drones with him, and always paying attention to the traits to make sure we get the ones that we want, including the recessive traits, so that we can eventually turn them into a frugal drone itself, and hopefully a better archetype than what I have. So just have these two boxes labeled so I make sure I don't mix them up, and make sure I can keep them consistent. And it's not usually so much of a problem now that I have 17 drones, but in the beginning when you got one, you got bees going everywhere, which, like I said, it can get confusing really fast. But also, I've got two other signs up for this guy. This guy has a longer lifespan, and every drone that I breed with him also has a longer lifespan. So the advantage being that if I make sure I don't mix any of those up, I'll have a guaranteed longer lifespan here, and then I'll have guaranteed fast speed here eventually. Right now, only half of them, the recessive trait for the drone, I think, and then the primary trait for the princess here was fast. So the idea being that once I get a fully fast guy and a fully longer lifespan guy over here, which he's right now not even austere, but he will be, and eventually when I get those, I can take those two over here and combine them until I can get it to work. Probably even making two different archetypes, because once it gets into this, the final evolution of them, I mean, you might as well, just to make sure you don't screw it up and have to restart or get stuck with some bad traits. So the idea is they're going to be fast with a longer lifespan, which is about as good as you can get in forestry. The only thing I think that steadfast drones might have the longest lifespan, and that's it. But I haven't even found one of those yet, and they're extremely rare. They're only in dungeons. But essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have another box over here where I'm going to put the basically the offspring of those guys over here and try and mix them together until I can make a perfect austere archetype. And the point with that would be that I would be able to produce drones with fast workers, longer lifespan of austere, and then combine them with any sort of princess that I want, including meadows princesses or whatever, back at my home, and then I can bring them back over here to put them here and put them in these boxes and just let them go, and probably set up an automated system, which is why the lifespan doesn't matter. I should explain that as well. The lifespan is not as significant as the speed, because if you set up a good automated system, which I did over here before it got blown up, yeah, I jumped off the top of a tree that I was breeding without paying attention to what was below me, and I had been AFK for a few minutes, and, well, apparently there was a creeper standing right there on top of the boxes. He took out essentially everything, and I was not in the mood to rebuild it, so I just kind of left this here. But I did have a setup where it would take the bees out of the tube, it would go through the diamond pipe, which would filter the combs to go out into a chest that was over there along this pipe, and the bees to get sorted, well, as best as it could. This was not exactly the best automated system. It was just a quick example I threw together. The bees to get sorted and placed back into the hive. So they go down, and then the apiarist pipe has them set up so that tropical drones and princesses will go in here. Now, of course, stuff like this ended up happening where it would already be full, and then another princess would get pushed in there. So instead of just fixing my actual system, I just made a really quick crutch for it and built a bunch of filters here pointing toward where the bees were going to get ejected from, and just got this timer on the brass tubes here spinning around. This is a really easy setup too. 0.2 seconds, shortest time. You just got one little piece of red wire there, and then any sort of jacketed red wire. Connect it right to the tubes. It went along to a chest, maximum space in between each filter. Basically, it was going to grab every bee, and there was not going to be any stopping that. And eventually, it would just put them in this chest, which this is the remains of the explosion, but it used to have a couple of princesses at the top there that I would have to just manually reset every couple hours. So, relatively efficient, but you could actually set one up so that it was just each apiary would have one engine and one system of pipes. So it would just send the princess back around and put it in there. And the drones to do the same with up until you got 64, in which case keeping more than 64 of one type of drone, as long as it's a purebred, kind of like the archetypes I have here, is kind of superfluous anyway. So you don't really need to worry too much about having extras that get thrown out. The important thing is just that you have the regular guys constantly restocked, and you'll never run out. And eventually, what I'm going to set up when I get these guys how I like them, which would be the longer lifespan, but most importantly the fast speed, and make sure that every one of them has the fast speed. So then I could have, well, I got 6 princesses here already, 6 apiaries running full-time with a world anchor, which I have set up here, that's restocked every half day, because one anchor goes for 12 hours on just one ender pearl, and you can actually put 16 in there, so that comes up to 8 days, over a week. You could just have a week going here, and if you had a system piping out those combs, which I also had set up here, which was relatively easy, you could theoretically keep this thing going for a week, and could even have it set up so that it puts frames back in. Right now I'm just using the untreated ones because I ran out of the impregnated sticks that I would normally use here, and for the most part these are all untreated frames just because I have plenty of wood and I brought tons of string. So it's just kind of my fallback option rather than giving them nothing. But just gonna go over really quick while it's still light and trying to fit this into one day, so still have some time. Just gonna go over really quick how this works. This is pretty good. So what you're looking at right here is a longer lifespan, and it's got the dominant trait and the recessive trait, and then the speed is normal and normal. So here I have This is what I was going for, is the longer lifespan and fast speed. So this guy is more like what we want. And here we have short and fast and longer and fast. Since what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get these guys to be the fast speed guys, I'm actually going to combine this one. And you got to make sure you keep track of these when you put them back in your inventory, which spot they went into, because it's very easy to get messed up, and then you can only see the dominant trait on the main screen here. You have to put them in the beetleizer to check that. So over here, this guy is going to be maintaining the longer lifespan. So if this guy goes short, like the recessive traits had for the drone, which is 25% odds, based on every drone can inherit, or every drone and princess can inherit just 2 of the possible options. So there's a 75% chance he's going to have a longer lifespan. There's a 25% chance he's going to have a short one. They say it's Mendelian genetics. It's technically not, because there is no such thing as dominant and recessive traits in this other than just which one's present. Not a single trait is ever consistently dominant. But that's just a quick overview of how that works. And I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to do this one really quick. This guy is a relatively new addition. I'm not really going for anything here, but as you can see, he's actually got the longer lifespan and fast speed as well. Most of the other information I don't really care about, but he is still frugal and purebred frugal. So this guy is actually a perfect candidate for upgrading my archetype here. And I forgot which one. I put one of those. So, yeah, so this guy is potentially, he's got a 75% chance of making it a frugal drone and only a 25% chance of making austere. But, you know, that's okay. Oops. That's okay, because I'm trying to get the fast worker longer life, which both of them had longer life on both traits. So there's a 100% chance of that. The fast worker on 50%, because it was the dominant trait of the drone and the princess. But really, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a relatively short video, just going over the basics here. And the other thing is the tree breeding. I have the setup here where I have the I always wear the apiarist clothing whenever I'm around the especially around the austere ones, because you don't want to blow up your whole place. And I'm going to go over just a quick note here. The cacti kind of help too to keep mobs from getting to you, just in case there's a couple left over in the day. But these are acacia trees and balsa trees, which together will eventually be bred to make a wenge tree. Now, of course, I'm not really caring about the pollination speed of these things, because I have pollinators back at my main house, and I'm almost finished with every tree breeding option there is. But if you're planting bees somewhere, you might as well plant trees somewhere too, and just keep working on it, even at the slowest pollination speed that some of these guys have. So I figured, why not? I've got bees here. I might as well plant some trees as well, and see if we can't get just one sapling or two from this. But that's going to be it. I'm going to cut the video here, and I hope that helps